bilateral stuff. And please use what SACEUR, the Supreme Allied Commander, has drawn up together with the Ukrainians, the list of stuff they need. Don't give bilateral stuff outside that list, because it is nice. It gives you nice pictures and photographs in the newspapers, but we know exactly what they need. We have, thanks to Jens, this whole structure was set up under his Secretary Generalship, Wiesbaden, the command there, and it is working excellently. So please use that list, the comprehensive Ukraine requirement list, and then Pearl, which is all the stuff the US is supplying. We need to do this. Keep them strong in the fight. They will do it, but they need our support.
And the second part of that, the other side of that coin, is putting enough pain on Putin, as you have said and as others have said, to actually get serious about a serious negotiation.
And that's exactly what Rubio said today.
Right.
It is testing him. Is he serious, Putin, about all of this? And he is again sending this historian next week to the talks in Geneva, so he will again lecture the Ukrainians about how to rush from Sweden or whatever.
But in his speech, in his speech, he mentioned Ukraine only in passing, and the words were elusive peace. So we'll get to that in a minute. Roberta Metsola, for Europe, you saw a call to arms today from Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, from Prime Minister Starmer, really rebuilding Europe's military-industrial complex. What, though, can you do now? How come you haven't managed to get all those, the money of Russia that you could actually give to Ukraine, and most of the Europeans agree with it? Why can't you just get it done and put pressure on Putin, as President Zelensky says, and as it's patently clear that there is not enough pressure on Putin yet? He doesn't feel enough pain.
On that we agree. Next week, I will sign a 90 billion euro loan to Ukraine, agreed in under 4 weeks, in an unprecedented speed. You might say it took us too long. We used to do things much slower before. But when push came to shove, we really put our money where our mouth is. And this is what we need to use as the strongest of message, that when I first came to Ukraine, a couple of weeks into the beginning of the war, Volodymyr, I told you that we would stand with you. And I preside over a parliament where the majorities are huge. And I want to say this because every second question, wherever we go, we're asked, but there's fatigue and people are looking away and you're losing your priorities on what you should do. My answer is, I was in the opening of the Winter Olympics 1 week ago, and the loudest cheer was for the Ukrainian delegation. And that is what shows spontaneously that the people of Europe are with you. What have we done since the 24th of February 2022? So we have the immense increase in GDP expenditure on defense. That's also thanks to your leadership, Mark. Secondly, we have adopted an unprecedented number of sanctions in terms of packages. We're waiting for the 20th package now. We are working and agreed with Volodymyr when he talked about the next step on what we should do on the shadow fleet. We have 2 new members in NATO, and this is particularly personal for me because one of my sons is serving in the military of one of them. And that is what would never have been done if it were not for Ukrainians fighting for the freedom that we took for granted, that we looked away, that we took too long to respond to. But I would say that today, we are there, we will be there, we need to take it to the next step. On enlargement, I can answer you. I preside over a parliament massively in favor of that. This is a win-win, it's not about charity. We need Ukraine, and we need Ukraine to be part of the European family. And we can do much more, and we can do much, much, much more. And we are there for.
As President Zelensky pointed out, still Russian tankers are patrolling your waters with their
we have over 600
war
that
money.
have been detained, but we have to do much more.
Okay, Senator Wicker, senior senator, Republican senator. What more can the United States do? We've had a year of so-called negotiations in which every time we look around, it appears that President Trump puts more pressure on President Zelensky than on President Putin. There is a package of sanctions that's ready to go. I understand both houses of Congress.
That's right.
So
that's right. And that's the good news. And what we've just heard from Europe is very good news. What we need specifically is we need for the administration to unleash the Tomahawk missiles. And that's a message that will come from the Congress. It's the decision of the administration. But the very good news, in addition to the good news about messages of reassurance today, and the support that this room has shown, we will be able to vote in 2 weeks' time on sanctions, and what Ukraine really needs is for Russia to run out of oil, and if we pass meaningful, serious sanctions on the oil producers, on say the 8 refineries around the world that Russia depends on, that can bring a meaningful change in the negotiations. Some other good news: public opinion in favor of Ukraine in the United States is growing. Public opinion among Republicans being polled is growing in the United States. And we're in a position with the sanctions bill, perhaps next week, for this to be a turning point.
Well, that is very interesting news for sure. President Zelensky, we were talking about security guarantees, all the things that you need in order to actually sign on to a peace process. I don't know what you make of President Trump's latest, in which I believe yesterday he said Zelensky is going to have to get moving. Russia wants to make a deal, and Zelensky is going to have to get moving. Otherwise, he's going to miss a great opportunity. He has to move. Are you, obviously, I mean, this is pressure. Are you feeling the pressure?
A little bit. No, I mean, there's, I understand signals of the president. Maybe it's preparing atmosphere before Switzerland meeting, trilateral meeting, and etc. So, not losing our dignity, we can move. We made a lot of compromises, speaking with Russians, beginning even with this. We have trilateral meetings. With all respect to the United States, they proposed us to have such meetings. I think it was a compromise from the side of Ukrainian people. The second point, we are ready to speak and continue. We are ready to speak about constant line. We are ready to speak about the stop on the contact line and then begin to talk. This is also a compromise, because we are speaking about our territories, which are temporarily occupied, our people which have been killed. So a lot of different compromises. Even when American side proposed a free economic zone, such propositions, what we said, look, it's our territory, it has to be our territory. And we can't just withdraw. There are 200,000 people, they are Ukrainians. It's our territory, we can't just run away. We didn't run away from the first day of this war. Why? We will do it today. But we are ready to speak about this free economic zone, maybe something, it can be something important for compromises to renovation of Ukraine and etc. But we are ready. They said, will you ready to do some steps? The question is what Russians are ready to do. We don't hear compromises from Russian side. We want to hear from them something, and I think this is important.
Before you carry on, can I just ask you about 2 press reports?
Our people are under pressure, by the way,
Of
the pressure. Our people, Ukrainians, under pressure.
They're being killed. The FT reports that you are prepared to announce a plan for presidential elections and a referendum on a peace deal, that you're prepared to announce that even potentially by the end of this month. True or false?
Something new for me.
So you don't know?
It was new for me. Yes, I think I answered already on this question, but I can repeat. First of all, of course, nobody support elections during the war. It's something strange. I said it about so many times. Then I said, if American side will push this signal, I'm ready to show that we are ready for this. Okay, give us, I'm very honest, give us 2 months of ceasefire, we will go to elections. That's it. Give us ceasefire, give us security infrastructure. Maybe not 2 months, but we need a lot of days to prepare. Then give us possibility, our soldiers, to vote, how they can, I mean, defend our lives, our country, and at the same moment to vote. This is something difficult. even not, I mean, this strange, it's something very difficult, and I don't know who has such experience. We don't have it. And we can't compare. Sometimes I heard, sometimes I heard, yes, we had elections in the United States during Lincoln's time and etc. How we can compare it? We have missiles, our people under missiles. It's not just land war, a lot of missiles. We're under ballistic attacks. So give us ceasefire. President Trump can do it. Push Putin, make ceasefire, then our parliament will change the law and we will go to elections. If they need them, if Americans need elections in Ukraine, and if Russians need elections in Ukraine, we are open for this.
And once again, we're listening into Zelensky there along with Mark Rutte as they were participating in this discussion about support for Ukraine. This is at the Munich Security Conference happening just about an hour or so ago at this point. A pretty lengthy discussion. So what we're going to do is step away for a commercial break and bring this to you on the other side. Stay with us.
The Rooms to Go President's Day sale ends Monday. And smart mattress shoppers know now is the perfect time to shop Rooms to Go, when you can get this amazing therapeutic queen mattress for just $297. Imagine $297 for this quality queen mattress you'll actually love sleeping on. Or look for other great mattress sale offers in-store or online. Find the mattress you want at a great sale price. But hurry, the Rooms to Go President's Day sale ends Monday.
Ooh, a timeout!
Incoming dishes! Doc!
With Dawn Power Wash, he can fly through 99% of grease and grime in half the time.
Oh my Gratian, look at him go!
Yeah, Dawn Power Wash is unique. It absorbs grease with 3 cleaning boosters, removing it 5 times faster.
Ooh, for beak's sake, that was fast!
And Power Wash can replace multiple cleaning products.
Ooh, fumble recovery!
Ooh, those suds got game.
Dawn Power Wash, the better grease getter. Oh, it's mesmerizing.
I can't look away.
Cleaning that greasy mess?
And not even scrubbing.
Will fluff my feathers.
Dawn Platinum is bringing it.
You know it. It cuts through the grease better than their old dish soap.
Keep quacking.
Platinum breaks down the slimy stuff it would leave behind, removing 99% of grease and food residue. That's why only Dawn is trusted to save wildlife.
Yeah.
I'd fly south for a clean like that.
Dawn Platinum, the better grease getter.
Welcome.
I'm excited.
Lights, cameras, ready, let's go. I got this.
I'm gonna watch a movie, for real.
This is Rise Sports Network, the home of champions, legends, and all the heart-pounding action in between. Every moment, every game, every victory. Tune in and feel the rush. Rise Sports Network.
You're watching live now from Fox. Welcome in and happy Saturday to you. If you are just tuning in, I wanted to bring you this live look out of Munich as the Munich Security Conference does continue today. As you can see, there is currently no discussion happening on the stage there, but we were listening in before the break to Ukrainian President Zelensky as well as NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte participating in a discussion about support for Ukraine. Let's continue.
Secretary General, even the Chinese...
This is why he is...
But that's his previous and his current strength, right? Communication. Can I ask you, even the Chinese foreign minister, as he was talking and addressing today, did the whole Russian trope about having to talk about the historical reasons and the preconditions and this and that for a ceasefire. What do you see as the vital security guarantees that need to be in place? And so far, Russia has said no to even an international monitoring force of Europeans. So what do you see is a realistic security guarantee?
Well, let's first of all, answering to the Wang Yi, to the Chinese thing, conclude together that there was absolutely no reason whatsoever for the Russians to invade Ukraine. Not in 2014 with Crimea, not a full-scale onslaught on Ukraine starting late February 2022. So this is absolutely not true. Then, when it comes to security guarantees, the first thing which is crucial is for NATO, that NATO came back together. The last couple of days, there has been a huge shift in mindset within NATO, where the Europeans are now taking more of a leadership role in NATO, where the Europeans take more responsibility for their own defense, and this is making us stronger because it anchors the United States stronger in the NATO alliance. It answers a request from them, and for Ukraine to stay strong, it is important that the 32 NATO allies are stronger together. So I really believe NATO is stronger now than it was ever since the fall of the Berlin Wall. And we are now ready also to help Ukraine, not as an alliance. We will do that individual allies. And this brings me to the security guarantees. We need security guarantees at 3 levels. Level 1 is the Ukrainian armed forces. They have to be so strong and so well trained. And of course, they are already battle hardened that they can, first of all, of course, defend themselves. Then we need, and this is the leadership of Macron and Starmer within Europe, the coalition of the willing, many other countries participating in Europe, Canada, and also, by the way, more and more the US getting involved, but I'll come to that, but the coalition of the willing, nations in NATO, but also outside NATO, working together to make sure that they will contribute whatever is necessary to make sure that Putin will never ever to try again invade Ukraine after a peace deal or a long-term ceasefire. So no repeat of Budapest 94, no repeat of Minsk 2014-2015. And then the third element is the Americans. It was a crucial moment when the American President Trump said in August, I want to be part of that. I want to be participating. And then we articulated, the Ukrainians and the Americans and the coalition of the willing, what that will be. And this is exactly as the president said, as Volodymyr said. In January, we had a meeting in Paris, very successful, with the Americans, where I would say 95, 96, 97% of the security guarantees now done. So this is crucial, because that means that when that peace deal is there, we can make sure collectively, with the Ukrainian armed forces as the first line of defense, that the Russians will not attack again. But obviously, to do that, you need Putin to play ball. What I am seeing, what the Americans are doing consistently since February, under President Trump's leadership, Marco Rubio, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, is they are testing the Russians to see whether they are serious.
Yeah, but this has been going on for a year.
Hey,
how much testing?
We can have as much criticism as you want on the present American government, but I'm going to defend them there. Here.
No, it's a question.
I know.
It's a question,
No. But in the question, I hear some criticism. I know. I don't mind.
How long do you test? This has been the deadliest year for Ukraine.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. If we agree that only the American president was able to break the deadlock with Putin, I think it was only him, because he is the leader of the mightiest nation on earth, a quarter of the world economy, the mightiest military on earth. He did that in February. He broke the deadlock. And no one expected this to end soon. It is an extremely difficult situation. We are extremely difficult situation. We are the sanctions bill you have now in the Senate is so important. What the president did himself, putting sanctions on Rosneft and Lukoil, what he did with the secondary sanctions on India and China when it comes to oil delivery, so still oil buying from Russia. This is all important. This is putting pressure on the Russians. The Europeans doing that with their sanction packages. One problem: China is the main sanction circumventor in the world, and therefore the main contributor to Russia, to the war effort. Of course, together with North Korea and Iran and Belarus, but China is playing that role. We should not be naive.
Senator Wicker, as far as I gather, and you can confirm, that Secretary of State Marco Rubio did not choose to go to the special Berlin format meeting of all the President Zelensky, Mark Rutte, and the other leaders. What do you think that signals? And do you think, as Secretary General Rutte says, that the United States is absolutely committed to a fair and just peace and is willing to do the work for it? When I say the United States, I mean this administration.
I take the Secretary of State's statement on face value. I don't think it matters very much. But let me say this. Vladimir Putin has not yet negotiated in good faith. Never once. Vladimir Putin started this war. He's a war criminal. And as you've pointed out, he started committing more war crimes this year by attacking civilians. He will begin to negotiate in good faith only when he is hurting enough. And that's what these oil sanctions may do. That's what more serious, more decisive and skillful weaponry may do. But he will not negotiate in good faith and has not yet said one word about actually ending this war in a meaningful way that will be
and we are
lasting.
just about to head to the 5th anniversary, so it's an important and serious situation. President Metsola, you heard Secretary General Rutte talk about, and we've read in the press, about certain American commands in NATO being transferred to Europeans. Is Europe ready for that? Does Europe welcome that? Is that the beginning of a, I don't know how to call it anymore, a decoupling, a de-risking, a going your own way? I know you're shaking your head, and we'll get to you.
I don't see it like that. I think we're living in a time of new geopolitics, and everything that we're used to is over in all respects. I was particularly struck by what President Zelensky said in his speech, where he said that the one aim of President Putin is to cause division. There is nothing that keeps him going before his people more than a rhetoric that the US and the Europeans are split, that the European countries between them are not aligned. I will not fall into that trap. What I will say is that the European Union has, perhaps better late than never, after years of perhaps doing less, stood up to say that we need to do more. We need to spend more. We need to create more. We need to help Ukraine develop more. And if we manage that, then how NATO is run, I'll leave that to your capable hands, Mark. But from a European perspective, we would also be able to be ready for anything. And readiness is in itself a deterrence. If we are going to be really, let's say, forward-looking and self-confident, I think we also lost that in the last few years, that we are able to have enough tools to stand up and be counted, then the US cannot go alone, just like we could not go alone. And this is something that we need to be able to say if we want to send a message for Russia and Putin's administration. And the cynicism with which we are discussing elections in Ukraine. When did we have fair elections in Russia? When are we going to be able to say that if there are bombs falling on cities, you cannot force those people without electricity to go to vote? And this is a cynical plot that we're falling into, and we absolutely should not allow it to. So it is this moment where we have to pick it up.
I've been told 3 more minutes. So I want to ask you a question and then give you, President, the last word. Just quickly, after the Davos speech, after Prime Minister Carney talked about, you know, a rupture and having to have a new arrangement, you said to your, your members, if you think that we can manage our own security without the United States, you're dreaming. Is that your position now, or do you think there does need to be some kind of moving away from...
What I'm seeing is a total unity of vision coming together in 2 steps. Step 1 was the summit in The Hague, where we agreed to spend 5% on defense, 3.5% on core defense. That for the first time in history will equalize what the Europeans are spending with what the Americans are spending. What I'm hearing from the Americans, everybody in America understands why NATO is important, not only for Europe or Canada, but also for the safety and collective security of the United States itself. They are completely committed to Article 5. There is one big expectation that the Europeans would step up, spend more, and that happened in The Hague. What then happened over the last couple of weeks, and I saw the culmination point of this with the defense ministers this week, with Bridge Colby, the main policy guy in the Pentagon, speaking there, the Undersecretary of War. What I saw there is a unity of vision, saying Europe will gradually take more responsibility for its own defense. Europe will take more of a leadership role within NATO, but completely with the US anchored in NATO, having a strong a conventional and, of course, nuclear presence in Europe going forward. But acknowledging collectively that the United States has more to take care of than Europe, also the Indo-Pacific, also their own hemisphere. And that's only logical, and we need that. And that's why I was speaking yesterday with the defense minister of Japan, the foreign minister of Japan. Good to see you. The foreign minister of Japan. Today, I was on the phone with the president of Korea this week. I will meet the Australians and the New Zealanders here, because there is that strong connection and cooperation between NATO and Indo-Pacific. It's only right for the US to also pivot more there. But there will be going forward a strong presence here in Europe of the United States, both nuclear and conventional, but it's totally logic. This is one of the richest places in the world, Europe. We have huge economies, that we take more care of our own defense, take more leadership there. And that is the reason why in NATO, and this started a couple of years ago, that now a discussion has been finalized where the joint force commands will over time be led by Europeans, and the component commands, so AirCom and MARCOM and LANDCOM, will be led by the Americans, and the Supreme Allied Commander being an American going forward. So this is crucial. NATO absolutely today stronger than ever since the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Last word to you, Mr. President. How do you think this year is going to go? Let's take the next 6 months.
Let's think about tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Really, and the day after tomorrow, how it will be. We will support peace dialogue. If United States will stay, I hope will stay in negotiation. Panels and dialogues, it's important for us. I hope that we will involve more and we will work on it, more European colleagues. Then I really hope that we will have support from the United States, from administration and Congress on security guarantees. We need their votings. I hope that we will have security guarantees very, very clear for, but first of all for our people, that our people will know what will be if Russia will come again. What answer will our strongest supporter, United States, strategic partner, will answer? What answer will European leaders will do if the aggression will be again? This is very important. Then we really want to work on EU membership, and I know that some European leaders are not happy with my rhetoric and messages. I'm sorry, but I will continue, because we need we are very thankful, it's true. We are very thankful, but we can't save only by saying thank you, can't save our lives. That's why I'm very honest. For us, it's very important to have a date for our membership. Otherwise, after this war will end, I'm sure that it will end, Putin will do everything. Doesn't matter what he will negotiate. He will do everything by his hands or by hands of some, not big countries, but very ambitious leaders. He will do everything by using them to block our EU membership. That's why I want very much to have signing by Americans, Russians, Europeans, and Ukrainians in this 20 points plan where the date is written. I think this is very important for our nation. And of course, we will, all this month, first of all, we will strengthen our soldiers, and we'll do our best for our civilians. What can I say? The unity is very important, and the United States is important. They have only to make Ukraine stronger than Russia.
Okay.
Thank you.
On that note, Mr. President, Secretary General, President of the Parliament, Senator Ritter, thank you so much.